Leave it up to a small, bespoke, high-end manufacturer, Manufaktur, as they say in German, in Vienna, Austria, by the name of SuperSense, to set the collective analog audio world, record collectors, into a conniption fit, the likes of which I don't recall seeing really in a while, if ever. I'm sure there's been times where it's happened, but this was fun to watch. What am I referring to? Well, of course, SuperSense being Viennese from Austria, the capital of Western classical music, undisputed champion. They decided to release music in conjunction with a partnership of Universal Music Group Austria, whereby they would get tapes from certain artists, analog tapes, of course, and they would release not a record, not a new vinyl formula, not a new process of manufacturing. No, they're taking it one step further. No pun intended. What are they doing? You guessed it. They're releasing these analog one-to-one transcriptions as lacquers, which of course is the closest you could possibly get to owning a copy of the actual master tape, as it is the very first transcription in the analog domain of that master tape, right? And so the hoopla, I'm not really going to get into that. You guys can look that up. I'll drop a couple of links below. Google it, you'll see it. I'm not going to rehash what's been said, what this guy said, what that guy said. It really doesn't matter to me. I love music. I love collecting records. I love bespoke stuff. I love the concept of handmade, artisanal creations by human beings, right? I love analog watches. I love things that are mechanical in nature, precisely because of that the human mind has gone through the trouble of creating these products that are just absolutely amazing. They're the complete antithesis to what we're living in this day and age of almost 2022, where we're more and more living in a digital age. You've got your phone everywhere you go. You've got your computer, your tablet, whatever. You've got your watch, your digital watch, of course. And so returning to that normalcy, I guess, of having something finely crafted, something truly bespoke, to me is just the absolute unbelievable admiration of the human spirit and what it can create, right? And so with that, right, comes what? Well, comes, frankly, imperfection. Comes, something of the component when you get a custom bespoke tailored suit. It's not 100% perfect, right? It's not machine built. It wasn't CNC cut from a blob of aluminum. It was handmade by tailors, by artisanal people that know how to use cotton threads and a needle and stitching and so on and so forth to create a bespoke suit. Same thing with shoes, same thing with really anything. There's bespoke books. If you look at, the French label Assouline, they make a series of bespoke books in very limited production runs that are mostly handmade. And so when I read about SuperSense doing these bespoke, custom records, really, I guess you shouldn't call them records, they're lacquers, because fundamentally a record, by definition, is made out of vinyl, and a lacquer is aluminum. It's an aluminum disc. These lacquers that they're using are from Japan, of course. And so what do they create? What do they come out with? Well, for starters, there are 4 titles that the folks at SuperSense released. The first one was, of course, what else would it be? Gets Gilberto. It's just a classic, if ever there was one. I mean, I think Gets Gilberto is, right up there with, Dave Brubeck, Time Out, kind of blue, right? That Chad Kassem just did the definitive reissue of that on UHQR. And so no surprise, Gets Gilberto is in here. What is, of course, also not surprising is that, they reissued John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. And next up is Carlos Kleiber with the Vienna Philharmonic. And then, last but not least, the great, incredible Martha Argerich, her first piano recital with Liszt, Prokofiev, Chopin, and Schumann, I believe. And so these are the first four Lacquers, that they released. You saw the unboxing video. And so when you look at it, I mean, it is just absolutely incredible what they've done, right? These reissues are, it's truly a joy, I guess, to get these out. Take a look at them. Of course, the first thing you smell is that whiff that you get of a lacquer. I have about a dozen or so lacquers that I've collected over the years that I've been given from friends in the industry that sound just as great today as they did 15, 20 years ago when I first got them. So let's please put that discussion completely out of this picture. I don't want to go there. You can look up all these other videos that have been done on that, so I'm not going to regurgitate any of that. Suffices to say that, by the way, this is not a sponsored video. I did not get these on discount. I did not get these on loan. This is not a review copy. This is supersense.com, click buy, and they arrive, right? That's what this is. So this is not sponsored. This has nothing to do with the team at SuperSense. I'm doing this on my own free will. And so you get, of course, the lacquer in this very nicely done package, which is actually very clever. It's got a little knob to attach it to this cardboard so it doesn't slip out and fall out, because obviously it's extremely precious. And then, of course, you have the adjunct information with all the pictures and all the stuff that you guys saw in the unboxing video. No doubt what everyone is very, very curious to hear is, what do these things sound like? So let's get right into that. Let me say something out front that I think is critical in understanding who this product is for and who this product is not for. If you're expecting perfection, if you're expecting in just a meticulous, flawless experience, if you're expecting no pops, no ticks, none of that, if that bothers you, if it bothers you that some of these elements are handwritten, if it bothers you that the records, the aluminum discs have been cut on the side, and so they're not perfectly cut. I mean, they got rid of the excess aluminum. The disc itself is quite a bit bigger than a 12-inch disc. If you're looking for any of those things, these reissues are probably not going to be for you, because they're handmade by human beings in Vienna, Austria, if I may have mentioned it, my former hometown, where I've spent my youth and learned my language and culture, etc., etc. And so if any of these things ring a bell for you, if you're like, oh my God, I'm hearing pops and ticks, then don't get this record, lacquer, because it's not for you. Get the digital version. Buy the regular LP that's out. Chad just did, in conjunction with the Verve Music Group, the John Coltrane Love Supreme. It's back in print. You can get it for $30. I think they raised the price to $40 now. Get that. Get 10 copies of that, right? Be happy. You don't have to buy this, right? This is much more expensive. It is a bespoke, hand-built, handmade product. And so that's what these records are, and lacquers, I keep saying records, lacquers are all about. So what is my go-to reference for some of these discs? Well, I happen to have a test pressing of the first Analog Productions reissue that came out on 45 RPM. This was pressed at Palace. This came out, gosh, almost 20 years ago, I think. Yeah, 2001, 2002. Sounds unbelievable, right? I mean, this has been my go-to reference. I prefer it over the new Verve reissue series. It's got dynamics, it's got punch, it's got guts, it's got air. Stunning. But then you play the lacquer. And the very, very first thing that you notice, and by the way, the reference system in use for this, of course, has been my trusted Kuzma XLDC with the Kuzma Airline arm, the unbelievable Grandmaster DS Audio cartridge with the incredible EMM Labs DSEQ1 designed by none other than Ed Meitner. And it is, of course, that analog playback system is the finest I have available, and it is the finest system I have ever heard, bar none. And I'm sure there's other turntables out there, and I've never been one of those guys that, this is better than that, whatever floats your boat, man, right? I mean, we're not talking rocket science here. If you have a turntable or system that you prefer for playback, by all means, knock yourself out. This is what I like. This is what my analog reference is. And so the inherent quietness that is orders of magnitude lower with the DS Audio Grandmaster and EMM Lab system immediately translates into these lacquers. And so the very, very first thing that you hear is a dramatically lower noise floor compared to even a test pressing. The first opening notes when Coltrane comes on, and then you hear the cymbals, and then that bass line comes in. I tell you, it is nothing short of astounding how much more information you hear compared to the test pressing that I have, the 45 RPM, if you have it, from Chad Kassem. Acoustic Sounds, of course, long out of print. I think copies go for crazy money online. Of course they do. The $40 reissue that's available now is fantastic, right? If that's what you want to get, by all means, I would get it before it's out of print altogether. And so that is definitely a reference quality copy. This takes it to a whole new level that is just simply not to be believed. I mean, truly. I'm telling you, this is, I'm not going to go too much into the individual tape differences because apparently there's been 2 master tapes that were used. There are some imperfections that you hear. I don't care. The pressing, it's not a pressing, it's a lacquer. It's a cut. The cut is, for me, fantastic. Not a single pop or tick on this disc. And there is an inherent level of resolution that is just unbelievable. The cymbals, everything translates much more dynamically, much more expressively. There's much more energy in the recording, in my humble opinion. And so, next up, what else do I have? I have of course, from Getz Gilberto, I have another Analog Productions 45 RPM reissue that came out. I think this is still in print, actually. It's a classic. I mean, everybody's seen this. Everybody has this. If you don't, go out and get it while it's still available. All analog. Basically, the same takes place here. Is that Stan Getz, when he starts playing, there's an immediacy. There is a level of transparency. There's a level of outline that, with that lower noise floor, that you immediately hear as soon as you drop the needle. Put the needle on the record. It becomes apparent that quickly, right? And then everything else kind of flows from it. The Argerich, a personal favorite of mine. I love this record. It's her first recital, first recording, 1960 Deutsche Grammophon. And particularly cut 2 on side 2 from Ravel, Jeux d'eau. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Jeux d'eau. It's been a while that I've attempted to speak French. I think it's Jadot. Just, man, again, dramatically lower noise floor. That inherent rumble that you hear on vinyl does not exist on Lacquers. It simply doesn't exist. So you literally, you put the stylus on, it makes that first contact that you hear, that pop, and it is silence and then tape hiss. And it is literally, in my opinion, and I have master tapes, as you guys know, I've got quite a collection of master tapes. It is that same experience. There is an immediacy. Again, I hate repeating myself, but truly there is an immediacy, there's a level of resolution and transparency that, to me, just comes through with these Lacquers that's simply you don't get on the record, right? And the last but not least, the Carlos Kleiber, same thing. I do not have a copy. I think I do actually, but I couldn't find it for this. But it's the same thing with the Vienna Philharmonic. You know, the playmanship, it's just far superior to the digital version, or if you have the regular record. And so there we have it. These are the first 4 of these Lacquers that they make available as these editions, archival tape editions, come out. I'm hoping there's going to be many, many, many more. I can't wait to see what they're going to come out with next. They're not perfect. Some of them, you hear ticks and pops on them, just like you would on any record. I think that, from what I've experienced, the ticks and pops are not as, how do I say it, as voluminous, as incisive, disturbing, audible maybe, as they are on a regular record. Don't get me wrong, when you hear a tick and a pop on these, you hear a tick and a pop. It just, even that sounds better than it does on a regular record. So again, you know, they're incredible analog reproductions of coveted recordings that you will never, ever get closer experience to than through these Lacquers, because of how a lacquer is made, because of how a lacquer is cut. It truly is the closest you will ever get to a analog source, in this case, the original tapes. And there you have it. I mean, that's basically it. I'm sold on these. I think they're phenomenal. If you can get them, I think the John Coltrane, no surprise, is sold out. I believe the Getz Gilberto, or one of the others, is sold out as well. I'm sure they're going to announce, you know, hopefully a bunch more titles soon. Needless to say, I'm going to get them. And, you know, I got to tell you, absolutely stunning. It really is, you know, it's remarkable that in today's day and age, close to 2022 we are, there is a company, there is a group of people, a team of people that have this vision and have this understanding of bespoke nature and creating, using their artisanal gifts that they have, their God-given gifts that they have, to create these incredible products and editions that are just unique. You will never ever see this again. I'd be shocked if Universal would license out someone else to create lacquers off of these tapes. And so that's it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this was what you were expecting. And you will have to check in more in the future for other episodes coming up. And I think we're going to do a twofer. I think I'm going to do just a regular record show tomorrow. So thanks for checking it out. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Ciao.